Story about the king of Willowmere. Long ago, nestled between rolling green hills and whispering forests, there was a village called Willowmere. It was small, just a handful of cottages, a market square, and a silver-threaded river winding through fields of golden wheat. Though modest in size, Willowmere was rich in something far rarer than gold: peace. The village was ruled by a king, but not in the way most stories go. King Thalen was not draped in velvet or seated on a distant throne. He lived among the villagers, in a humble stone house with ivy crawling up the walls. His crown was made of wood and carved with the emblems of each trade in the village: plow for the farmers, hammer for the smiths, spindle for the weavers. He wore it only during festivals, preferring a wide-brimmed straw hat to keep the sun out of his eyes. King Thalen had no guards, no treasury, and no need for laws written in ink. His rule was guided by a simple belief: a king's worth is measured by the happiness of his people. Each morning, he would walk through the village square, greeting each person by name, asking after their families and lending a hand where it was needed. If a roof needed patching, he climbed the ladder. If a child was ill, he rode to the herbalist in the next valley for medicine. For many years, peace reigned. But one summer, a drought crept over the land. The river thinned, crops withered, and worry began to spread like wildfire. The villagers gathered in the square, murmuring about what to do. "We need a well," said the miller's wife, "deeper than any before." "But we have no tools strong enough to dig that far," said the smith. "I'll go to the city," Thalen said. "I'll trade what we have for what we need." He returned 3 weeks later, weary and sunburned, leading a mule laden with iron tools and blueprints. The city folk had mocked him, a king bartering with wool and honey like a common trader, but he had smiled and struck his deals. With new tools and everyone's effort, they dug a well deeper than any in the region. Water burst forth like a blessing. The fields recovered. Children laughed again. When winter came, the village held its harvest festival, and Thalen wore his carved wooden crown. Music filled the air, and the firelight danced in the smiling eyes of his people. That night, the oldest villager, a woman who remembered Willowmere before Thalen, raised her cup and said, "He is not just king of our village, he is king of our hearts." And so it was that in the chronicles of the realm, King Thalen of Willowmere became known not for the size of his kingdom, but for the depth of his care. To this day, travelers who pass through the old village find a carving near the well. Here ruled a king who needed no throne, for he sat in the hearts of his people.